सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम। नमस्ते अरविंद जी, नमस्ते अखिलेश जी। हरि ओम। Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen last? So we can quickly continue. We are at the fourth shloka of the 17th Adhyay. Yes, please. Anybody? Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen? Anything? Forming a link is essential to proceed. Yes, please. Yes, please. Anybody? I can understand we've had a weekend also and then it's a break. But anything you can recollect. That is one requirement. Anyone? Yes, Om
Actually,
Prakash. Yes, sir.
Actually, in the last last Adhyay, we have more. The Krishna more explains about the demonic nature, basically.
Ji.
And then the Arjuna asks a question in the 17th Adhyay that the people who do not follow scripture as such, but yet they have a Shraddha. And if they perform sacrifice with Shraddha, then what is his guna?
What is the nature of their bhakti? Means they have a shraddha for the divine, but they don't feel like following the scriptures.
Scriptures. And
Yes.
then Krishna explains that it is the combination of all the three gunas.
Three
depending
gunas.
on
Absolutely. Ji.
So, this is what I could recall.
This is what. All right. Yes. Thank you, Om Prakash ji, for establishing the link. Anybody, if you can recollect? Yes, please. Anything else you would like to add to what Om Prakash ji said? We also saw about Naraka, isn't it? Yes, Sharda ji, namaste. Hari Om.
Namaste.
Hari Om. Yes, so we saw about Naraka, Naraka Dwara. Naraka Dwara is, we don't have to worry of some Tartarian gate in the underworld or something like that, or after death. This Janma only becomes Naraka when these three gates are opened. There are three gates which allow Naraka to descend inside of our life. That was the last part of the 17th Adhyay. Krishna said this is the ultimate thing. These are the three great gates. Can anyone recollect what are the three gates? It's in the 21st shloka of the last Adhyay. Anyone?
Lust.
Yes, ji.
Lust, anger, and
Desire. Absolutely. Yes, Sharda ji. Absolutely. The three. Kama,
desire, rage, and lust.
Yes,
desire, rage, and lust.
Yes, Sharda ji and Om Prakash ji have rightly said. So Krishna says these three gates, only when you are closing them or you're sealing them, then only you can be free. If even one gate is open, you are giving an open invitation for hell to enter. It's just imagine India has three sides. India has to protect itself, isn't it? We have, if you see, if you look on the south, we are having that time Navy also. But if you see land masses, north, south, north, east and west, all three directions. Can we say it's okay, I will fortify my north and west, but I will not fortify the east? It's of no use. One gate is open, infiltration will take place, infiltration happens, entire system will collapse. So for that, we have to be alert at all times. Just like that, we say our body is like a big temple, a temple of 9 gates. That is one more allegory of the body. But here, there are 3 gates of hell which have to be sealed. Even one, meaning desire. Desire takes control of you. That is it. Even the best of relationships have got destroyed because of desire. Uncontrolled desire taking control of one person, and that person becomes almost possessed by the desire. That person does not have a desire. That desire possesses that person. So that is one problem of desire. Then rage. Rage. Can you remember what you speak when you're angry? Anybody? It's very rare, isn't it? You're not in control. You've spoken something, you've hurt somebody, and then that person says, "Why did you speak like this?" You say, "I don't remember. I don't remember what I said." Most of the time, these are the dialogues. People who get very angry cannot remember what they are, because we have seen, isn't it? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. It goes on till buddhi nashat, completely that person is only destroyed. So it's a fall which starts with anger. So anger also has to be stopped. And lust. This is one more. Desires, one very strong form. These three have to be sealed. Then only you can be free, he says. And when you have sealed them, then you are in a great state of happiness, a great state of ananda. Now you will never be disturbed. The great siblings, Naneshwar, Muktabai, all of them. Hachi nema ata, na fire magari. Means now I know the aim, now I will not turn back. I know my direction, I know my destination. It is like suddenly the Rajahamsa has realized, I don't need to be in this golden cage. My home is Manasarovar. I don't need morsels from anybody. I have powerful wings. I will fly skywards towards the heavens, and there I will select in the beautiful heavenly realms. I'll select my beautiful lotus seeds. I don't need morsels of pity from somebody else to keep myself sustained. That is the realization of a yogi who has become free. Such a person will not be afraid of even being alone. Sometimes this is also an important test. Ability to be alone and peaceful. Somebody you know, somebody who leaves you, then a person is extremely like a fish out of water. I cannot be anything. I'm absolutely helpless. I am in a state of panic because this person left me, is gone elsewhere. This happens even children. Psychologists actually tell to observe kids. If the child can play alone, you can understand that child has got a great chance of growing. Parents are asked to leave the child alone in a room and observe the child. If that child is able to play alone, identify its own game, start creating something, then they say that this child does not need to have, you don't need to worry too much. Well, that is the same thing in sadhana also. Suddenly you are ready. Ekla chalo re. How many of you have heard of that song? Rabindranath Tagore, isn't it? Ekla chalo. What does that mean? Is he upset with everybody and see everybody is irritating me, so I'm going to walk alone? Like children get irritated and say, no, it is not that. The soul is clear, the soul is confident, the soul is free and ready to walk, because ultimately, all of us, we were born alone only, isn't it? We are born alone, we'll have to go alone only. That is one truth we cannot escape from. This is a truth of life. So this ability, if you close these gates, you're going to be in a state of ananda. You'll experience what this, even Brahmananda. You don't have to worry about what it is. Don't have to get a definition or hear from somebody else. You will experience it. It's so simple. This is the highest Shastra. Krishna says, Swatma Ramoham Bhuma Paramasukhe Swena Swasmin Swayam Brahma Swe Mahimni Swano Bhutam Satyam Jnana Dhanam. These are beautiful dharanas. When people meditate, when they try to meditate on, even before Shivoham, when they start chanting, this dharana mantra is chanted, because I am that Praptam Paramapadam. I have reached that highest state. Now, how easy it is to say it, but how difficult it is to reach. But just by dhyana, being able to reach that, it is possible. And Krishna says, the Shastras talk about the same thing. He says, but somebody who doesn't follow these Shastras, Krishna doesn't curse. He doesn't say it's blasphemy or you have insulted me, so I'll curse you, or because you are not following this, what I have said, so I'm going to. It's just a common karmic consequence. I allow rage to come inside of me. Which of our friends enjoy us if we are angry? How many of our friends do we find, I want to see the angry face of my friend who gets very angry and starts hurling abuses at me? Does anybody ever say that? You say, oh, this fellow, this cranky person is there. This is a tension party. I have to leave this person away. I'll rather stay away from this person. Because anger is that, it controls. So Krishna is not cursing here again, because nowhere has Krishna given an explicit order. We have come up to 17 adhyayas. Means it is unbelievable. So many adhyayas. We take 15 minutes out to talk to our friend, then we expect that friend to listen to us the rest of their life. Because I gave advice, no, now you listen to me. But Krishna is giving for so many adhyayas. Arjuna is questioning, cross-questioning, doubting, all of it. But Krishna is not passing orders. He just says, Arjuna, follow the scriptures. If you don't follow, you will go into the wrong path. That's all he says. It's like a guide who is telling, don't go that direction. There's nothing there. I have been there. I have seen that place. Don't go there. This is the right route. That's all he's sharing. Krishna says, let the scriptures, that's why the last part says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. Let the Shastras be your guide. Meaning, there is something in the Shastra, the truth is there. So let's not insult the Shastras. But Shastras are not only for memorizing. The Shastras have to be understood. There is a spirit of the Shastra which has to be understood. That cannot get lost. That is important because the higher truth in it must be understood. Abide them, understand, follow it, follow what it is said in all your works and actions. So nowhere is Krishna telling, okay, now if I have retired, I can now just do sadhana only. That means I have to not do any work. Sadhana is in the work only. Premananda Kumarji, who got PhD on Savitri, she was washing her vessels and her father came at her when she was at her in-laws' place post-marriage. She looked at him and he said, what, I got PhD for this? I got PhD in Savitri. Savitri is unbelievable. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri is a beautiful spiritual realization. The words even confuse the wisest. They find it too deep to understand. And here is a lady who at a very young age, who went to UK. She was one of the first in India to get such a PhD. I actually, when I saw her, I thought it is Ma Saraswati's incarnate only. And I somehow went and I wanted to touch her hand because this hand only read the writing. That time there used to be physical. So I did succeed in it. She might have got some weird vibe out of it. But I did namaskar to her. But her beautiful story which she shared in that meeting was this, that her father, when he came, she felt suddenly all emotional. What is this? After marriage, I'm washing vessels. For this, I did PhD in Savitri. She looked at him and asked, for this did I do? He just looked at her and said, if you cannot see Savitri in the washing of vessels, you have not understood it at all. That was such an important aspect. So our Shastras are around us, they are surrounding us, they are living. These Vedic gods, we say, they are not anymore. We don't see Vedic gods in temples. Wrong. Vedic gods also are around us. Agni, Vayu, Mitra, Varuna, all of them, they are present. Understand their significance. Ma Saraswati, the same great river, Vedic river Saraswati is also the goddess of inspiration. Let her flow come into us. Let it be that flow of Saraswati when we talk, when we think, when we write, when we get inspired. Why not? Greeks used to worship this god, you must have heard of Pegasus, isn't it? The winged horse. The winged horse is a great symbolic creature worshipped by the poets because it is a beautiful story behind it, gift from the gods. And there's a beautiful Greek and connection, Sanatan connection with this creature and Saraswati Ma also. Because wherever this horse touched its foot on the soil, there rivers would start flowing. Now, these rivers are also equal to rivers of inspiration. Like that, Ma Saraswati is there. We have different for Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sansita. Why do we say that this goddess among all people? Namastasya. So our Shastras are there. Our Shastras are having the Satya. It is time we understand that Satya. Understanding that Satya, Krishna says, bring forth your karmas. Bring that light in your karmas also and raise in consciousness. That is why the 17th Adhyay ends here. That time, Arjuna immediately gets a question because Krishna has talked about Shastra. He says, Krishna, what about these Shastras? What if my bhakti is pure for the divine, but somehow I don't feel like following the Shastras? A lot of people say, nahi, usme likha hai, mujhe nahi karna hai. My bhakti is like this. I won't do what the Shastra is there. So he says, what type? He doesn't doubt the Shraddha, but he says, what type of Shraddha is this? where people willingly go against the Shastras sometimes. They have faith, but they don't. That time he asks, is it Sattvic, is it Rajasic, or is it Tamasic? Krishna says Shraddha is what we can say, the integral constituent of every living being. It is like my spine. Pull out my spine, what's going to happen? My life won't be there only, isn't it? It is like that. Shraddha is so important. And depending on the Shraddha of the person, depending upon the nature, that stamp of the Guna is also present in that person. Maybe Ravana might have had a little bit of Rajasic Shraddha. Somebody else might have a very Sattvic one. You look at Sudama, only Sattva inside. Even if people shouted at him, he will not return abuse. So he is different. So each person has their own Shraddha. So it depends on the individual, and Shraddha is unique. Shraddha mayo ya purushaha. Yo Shraddha, yo yat Shraddha, sa evasa. So yat Shraddha, what is the Shraddha? That way is the person. If I am in a relationship with somebody, if I am having doubts all the time, what is going to happen? That stamp of doubt will always be, it will be like a cloud of doubt, isn't it? Always hovering over me, even in the best moments. Whether or not the other person is faithful or unfaithful, my doubts will take control of me. So this is my Shraddha which is having a trouble. This Shraddha is having a Sanshaya. That Sanshaya is carrying around. Meaning my perspective of everything will be governed by it. So it is so important to be conscious, to understand what your Shraddha is, because that affects our entire journey. Krishna says even the bhakti of people is governed by the Shraddha. The Sattvic ones offer to the Devas. Sometimes they say, they don't even ask for any, they say Nishkam Bhakti. They say Nishkam Bhakti, meaning not wanting anything in return. I need wealth badly. I need wealth. This aspiration is there for some physical constraints I'm having. But the Sattvic person, when he does the Shraddha, he'll say, Twadiyam Vastu Govindam Tubhyam Eva Samarpayet, or Shri Krishna Arpanam, whatever it is, you give, you do what you want. I will not ask anything. I accept your will. Sushma Swaraj late Sushma Swaraj ji had beautifully said, when something happens according to my will, I would call it Krishna Prasad. And when it went against my will, I would accept it as Krishna Ichha. So that is a beautiful Sattvic approach. But what about Rajas? The Rajasic ones, they try to use the brute force of Rajas in their prayer also. The stamp is there. We're not going to judge, is it good or is it bad? Each person has their Shraddha. That is something we learned, that we as human beings do not have the right, because Krishna himself is not judging, isn't it? Krishna is not passing a judgment on anybody's Shraddha. Then who are we to say this person's Shraddha is like this person's Shraddha is this Rajasic? No. How insulting it is for someone if you just go and tell them your Shraddha is like this, because that person may or may not agree. And why is it, when did we become the Vishwa Guru to give advice to the world? First thing we have to understand, one person, suddenly unknown person, asked me what are the Lakshanas of a Guru online. I don't even know that person. I said, I am not great enough to understand what a good Guru is, but I know what are the Lakshanas that are to be in a good Shishya. Let me try to cultivate. I'm not saying I have reached that state yet. Let me try to become a good Shishya. That is my lookout. Why should I go and judge if this Guru is good, that Guru is bad, or this is who is having what standard? Where am I to even go to that standard? Like that, why should we try to go into somebody else's Shraddha? We focus on our karma. Some people say, then should we allow wrong Shraddhas to go on? No, it is not. If that wrong Shraddha is troubling you, or it's you have a karma bandhana also, isn't it? You have something called swadharma. If somebody around says it is important, it is my Shraddha that I keep carrying weapons with me. If you are in that society, will you say that person has the right Shraddha to carry weapon and I will turn a blind eye? No, isn't it? That Swadharma comes into the way. Swadharma is there. For this, Krishna told Swadharmat Nidanam Shreya Paradharma Bhayavaha. Means don't lose that Swadharma. It's better to even die holding your dharma than forgetting the main dharma, which is, we can say, the dharma of the moment, dharma of the kala, dharma of the paristhiti. This can be understood with viveka. But The sattvic ones offer to the devas without asking anything in return. The rajasic want force. They want strength. They want wealth. They want power. So that they do different type of upasanas for getting that. But what about tamas? Tamas, they offer to the spirits also. They go into that. They want to connect with the pitas also. In that time, connecting with pitas is a different thing. Pitas are also devas. You can seek their blessings, definitely. But here, they try to, even the beings which are restless, they try to connect with the spirits also. In the subtle layers, which are probably in their journey, they have not yet gone ahead. They still try that. That is the tamasic nature. So there are different ways that people have. Krishna has not yet passed anything, what is good, what is bad. But next shloka, he says some things are not right. That we see in the 5th shloka. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambhahankara sanyuktaha kamaraga balanvita. Against the teachings of the scriptures celestial, they perform the austerities, violent and bestial, powered by their egos, propelled by arrogance, with restless desires, they pride themselves in ignorance. So this is the problem. Drenched in egos, when the sadhanas are done, driven by individual egos, full of arrogance. Inside, restlessness is there, a lot of pride. Didn't we learn in the last Adhyay? These are all asuric traits. Daivi traits are Daya, Shanti, Ahimsa, so many names are there, so many. First 3 shlokas, we see what a wealth it is to have so many, what we can say, beautiful traits. Well, this is the nature, Krishna says. Powered by their egos, propelled by arrogance, with restless desires, they pride themselves in ignorance. So it is done in ignorance. It is violent also sometimes, and it goes against the scriptures also. What do? Karshantaha sharirastham bhutagrama machetasaha mam chaivantaha sharirastham tan vidya sura nishchayan. This is the asuri pravruti, where they torment and torture their physical components, subjecting their bodies to the extreme elements. The crude minds also discomfort the me seated within, understand such beings to be demonic creatures of sin. We've heard of that kind of sadhanas, isn't it? Crude sadhanas inside of even the Puranic tales. Or even if you look at how Dashanan was named Ravan. What was that? Lot of asuri force inside of him, isn't it? When Nandi says, I will not allow you to go to Shiva. He says, how dare anybody stop me from going to meet my Lord? He is my Aradhya and I am his greatest bhakta. Nobody can dare stop me. So much that he wants to disturb his own Aradhya who is in Dhyana Sthiti. So with a great force, he says, I will wake him up. If Shiva is not going to come like this, or I am not getting a chance, I will make him come. I will wake him up, and that is how he lifts the Kailash according to the tale. Then what does Shiva do? He doesn't break from his trance. He just, with the finger, pushes it down, falls onto his hand. There's extreme agony and pain, and then he gets that name Ravan, the one who is crying. His cries are heard across all the 3 lokas. Well, exactly like this, arrogance sometimes, which is also having a bit of ignorance, having the asuri traits, all of these cause a person to sometimes torture the physical components of that individual. They even create discomfort to the divine is inside. These are asuri. This is what Krishna is saying. Now we go into the next part of this. I'll just share the screen. I'll try to. Yes. Yes. Can you see this? Can someone describe this illustration for me? It's always very interesting. I get lots of questions do come up from this chapter because they say Krishna khane pe mat jana. But
3 types of food.
Yes, Kulkarni ji. Yes, sir.
Three types of food.
Three types of food. But I request all of you who can turn on your video feeds, please do turn on the video feeds because I only see alphabets and names. It's much easier to interact. I will not be asking after 2 more adhyayas. So yes, please. Yes, sir. Kulkarni-ji, yes, sir. Three types of foods. Okay. Yes. Anything else? Anybody would like to add further?
Yeah, the types of food that influences the rajas, sattva, rajas, and tamas qualities.
Okay, Shivaji. Shivaji is saying these are three types of foods that have a bearing on the gunas. Okay, that is interesting.
Okay. Can I add something?
Yes, Vinitaji.
The source of sattvic food will be from nature. Whatever
Okay.
we can get it from the nature, it will be all plant based.
Acha,
So
okay.
yeah, so it can be in the form of fruits or it can be the vegetables and all. That is whatever is mostly the rajas and the tamas food is a processed food,
Okay.
which
Rajas
is not
and
known
tamas
for
is-
the natural system for what
Okay.
they say. I mean, it is most easily digestible is a sattvic food than the
Okay.
rajas and the tamas food. And rajas and tamas stays in the system for a longer period. It makes you lazy, lethargic, and
Both rajas or tamas? Which one?
rajas more of rajas. It stays
Actually,
in the
tamas
system.
will bring in more of laziness. Rajas creates restlessness. Rajasic
Yeah.
foods. Yes.
Uh,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, Vinitaji. Thank you. I think you had even previously talked about when the gunas were introduced about the gunas and their food connection.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Anybody would like to add further?
I mean, I think the tamasic food is showing some signs of decay or,
Decay. Yes.
something like that. And the rajas
Probably
food is
rot.
more like junk food.
Junk food. Children say Rajas food is tasty food when they teach in the kids classes. They say this is the tasty food. All right. Fine. Yes, sir. You want to add something more, Shivaji?
No, that's it.
All right. Fine. So yes, if you see Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva, if you look at it, we have all fresh, easily like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. I think beautifully best word would description would be, as Vinitaji said, easily digestible. That is sattvic food. What about Rajas? Rajasic food looks processed food, which is mostly the fast food, the junk food. You go to a dietitian, they'll say, don't eat these foods. All those come into Rajasic state. There is a reason why they say, we will see it later on in the Gita. The third is tamasic food. Tamasic food, you see, there's an apple and there's a worm coming out of the apple. There's a cockroach. There's a, rotting cheese. We can call it stale food also, or food that is rotting, food which is going bad. So that is tamasic food. We have seen gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. Now we are understanding that even food can be rajas, tamas, and sattva. Meaning this software, three softwares which are introduced by Prakriti into our life, rajas, tamas, and sattva, they are not leaving us just in our nature. They are absolutely surrounding us, even in our foods, maybe even in our thoughts, maybe even in our deeds. We will see how they are entering. These are the triple gunas, how they are functioning in nature. Maybe we are not aware of it, but they probably have a very big control over us. If you look at the tagline below, it says, even the food consumed by a person is of three types according to the taste, liking, and preference of the individual. Depending on the nature, they are sattva, rajas, and tamas types of foods. So these are the three types of foods: sattva, rajas, and tamas. So with this, I'll just stop the illustration. Let us see what the Gita talks about. Hari Om. Seventh shloka, which speaks, Aharastvapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yajnas tapas tatha danam tesham bhedam mimam shrunu. Even the foods that are consumed by every creature, depending on liking, are threefold in nature. So again, Krishna is telling according to the preference of the individual. He is not saying you eat this food or don't eat this food. He's saying this is the nature of that individual. He is not even recommending, I recommend you to eat this, Arjuna. This will give you greater Shakti. This will give you greater Arogya, Bala, all of it. No, he is just introducing and he says, depending on nature, people have these choices. There's a lot of difference in understanding and imposing. Here, Krishna is asking Arjuna to understand this is the choice. Depending on liking a threefold in nature, so too is sacrifice, austerity, and charity. Listen to me, for I shall explain with clarity. So, not just Anna, even the Yajna, even the Tapa, even the Dana are of three types. So, Dana means donation. The Tapashcharya that you are doing also, sadhana also can have the guna stamp. Same way, even the Yajna, we think I am doing a sacrifice. Be a little careful and become conscious. What type of sacrifice is it? Is it a Rajasic one? Is it a Sattvic one? Or is it a Tamasic one? Because we have seen the three gunas and we know the consequences of each of these gunas. What happens because of it? Well, these gunas are extending into our world. Prakriti is running with these gunas only. Maya also traps us from these gunas only, is what we have seen. So let us see. Ayu Sattva Balarogyam Sukha Pritir Vivardhanaha Rasyaha Snigdaha Stirarudya Aharaha Satvika Priya. The men of Sattva prefer the following food. To them, all that nourishes and prolongs their life is good. A succulent, smooth, and firm diet they choose to adhere. For to their mind and bodies, this type of food is most dear. So what does Krishna say? The men of Sattva, they prefer this type of food. Sattvic natured persons prefer this type of food only. What is it? That which prolongs their life. They understand this food will help me. This is easy to digest. This is nourishing me. I want to eat this food is the feeling of a Sattvic person. And what is their choice? A succulent, smooth and firm diet. They want something which is firm, which is easy to digest. It's something succulent also. They might like certain fruits. They might like some fresh vegetables, all of these. Because they understand that for their mind and body, this type of food is most dear. So they understand the mind and body link. I had a chance to present in a conference, Sanskrit conference, about this nutritional psychiatry concepts in the Gita. And here, these were the various shlokas that I had quoted in. That was actually very interesting to see when different participants also shared their inputs. This is actually how a person's state of mind is also altered by the food. This is so important. We sometimes don't realize it, but it does have a very big bearing. And Krishna says, this is the nature. Sattvic people prefer that. My question is, anybody who takes Sattvic food in your home? Maximum. Anyone?
Old people.
Okay, Rekha ji says old people. The seniors. Okay. Anybody else feels the same thing? Yes? Yes, Shivaji? Okay,
Very small
then Shivaji.
children.
Small, yes, yeah?
Very small children.
Very small children. Achha, very small children. That's also beautiful because sometimes parents try to tempt children with different spicy foods, and very young ones, before sanskars are created, they are just growing. They say, no, I don't like this. Give me this food. There are some children who are very conscious, but we cannot say it's the same with all. All right, Shivaji has said. Yes, Chitraji, we were adding something before Shivaji said.
Yeah, same as what Rekha ji mentioned. The seniors at home prefer.
Why do you think they prefer it, Chitraji?
I mean, probably their upbringing also is one factor, and also they feel that it is easily digestible, and a lot of other factors. They feel it helps with them with their day-to-day activities much more versus having
Yes.
something else that doesn't.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is true. It helps them in their daily activities. It is something which is understood. I think in there was something called there's a village called Okinawa in Japan. It had a very beautiful food pattern which they followed traditionally, and that is why in that village people were living up to 100 years. Lot of genetic studies, they tried to understand what is the reason for such a long, prolonged life. Or they say Mediterranean diet. There's also it is similar to what we call a Sattvic diet. So these diets are actually prolonging life. If you see, people say have antioxidant rich food. So do you need supplements, or you can have fresh fruits which are having natural antioxidants? So the people who are conscious, they eat their food, they are understanding its effect on their body. And unfortunately, the influence of the West started happening. And so that's village, which was having so many people above 100, their diet changed. And now that average has come down. Earlier, that was very known to have that there is something special in the water. People say there was something in the way they walked. Later on, they found it was just the diet only which they were eating. And that diet was responsible for a long life. When we are unwell, what type of food? Even the young people, what would we eat? I have a stomach upset. Can I say I want the best burgers and pizzas, what I want? No, isn't it? I'll say I'll either have upvas only, or I'll have a little bit rice, something which is very easy to digest. Give me just a little bit of pomegranate juice or something like that, which will give me some strength. Means naturally our body also turns to sattvic food only, because that is the food that is constant, is able to consciously take. So that is one. But what about rajas? Krishna goes on. Katvamla lavana tyushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasyeshta dukha shoka maya pradaha. The men of rajas very much enjoy consuming all that is bitter, sour, salty, hot, dry, and dehydrating. Born of anxiety and worry, they are affected by ailments, and their health is affected by their temperaments. So, Rajasic food, all that is bitter, salty, sour, hot, dry, dehydrating. Fast foods, what do you experience after taking fast food? You immediately feel I have to have a cold drink or some refreshment, isn't it? Because you feel you feel all dehydrated. Well, these are foods which consume for digestion. It requires a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of what we can say sattva inside of our body is utilized for digestion. That's why yogis would say, even if you give them, even the young yogis, if they are on the path, they'll say, no, don't. I will prefer eating the sattvic food only, because I don't want this. I want to focus. My experience was that only. With my friends, I went to play badminton tournament, going against the advice of my teacher, ate biryani before the match. Before the match started, only me and my partner started sweating, and we both walked to the net and we said, what is this? I'm feeling it's talking to me from the stomach, is what he was telling me. Well, this was the feeling, because Rajasic aspects, if you eat Rajasic food, your body is going to be continuously affected by that only. You feel restless. Dheerajji wants to share something. Yes, Dheerajji, most welcome. Ji, sir.
Hari Om.
Yes, ji.
See, when in the tradition of yogic tradition, who is doing the yoga and meditation, they generally follow the elements of earth. Like 70% of water is there on the earth, so 70% of the food should contain the water, like sambar, rasam, or something like that.
Yes. Okay.
Then there should be some part of agni. That means some spices should be there, but it should be very less. Then in the olden days, we used to grounding the things by the stones. Okay, now it has replaced by the mixer. So all these stuffs have come from the ancient time.
Micronutrients would
correct.
be
So
present.
it is equivalent to the our earth combination of the water, soil, agni, vayu, something like that. That is what I wish to share.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So this Rajasic nature, when it's connected with disturbances, anxiety. I think in hypertension also, what is the first thing they say? Reduce your salt content. A lot of hypertension is in salt reduce, because they have understood the direct connection. Like that, all of these foods, they have a direct connection with the body. The young boy who was saying, I like only Rajasic food, I eat only Rajasic food. Next day morning, next class, when it was there, his face was very sad. And the teacher observed and said, what happened? Why are you having a long face? I have become sattvic now. I like sattvic food. He was feeling so sad. The teacher thought, let me just ask, and what young boy, what has happened? Yeah, I ate lots of spicy burgers yesterday and now I'm having all, and doctor has told me to eat only simple food which is not having any taste. Well, whether it is having taste or not having a taste, he was more interested with the Rajasic food, but that also cannot be had all the time. So because it is not good for the body also. And one more thing is, it has, if you are going to do works of thoughts, good thinking and all, you don't want your consciousness to be wasted. People who are very conscious, basically, you want to be alert only, isn't it? When you want to be in your peak performance, why would you want to have something which will disturb your performance? And conversely also, when you are irritated, you will feel like eating Rajasic food. Case in point, I'll give my own example. I was very annoyed with the conference. I had gone to Mangalore. It was so far away, and then they gave me only 10-15 minutes to speak. But I had to talk, I had to give 2 papers, and it was something which was very annoying because so much long distance I've traveled, and I was very angry and very restless. And somehow I started speaking. It was a lot of Sanskrit people were there, and I was looking forward, but I was a little disappointed. So I talked about this only. But I invoked Kal Purusha to give me strength to finish in next 10 minutes what I have done in 10 years. And all this was still, irritation was not satisfied. So after talking about the nutrition secretary, I went to the canteen and I had raw mango with little spice on it. There, one participant's mother, she saw me eating, and then I said, I've been caught. I said, I'm sorry, I just talked 5 minutes back about this, but I felt like eating. Because why did I feel like eating? She also laughed and she said, it's okay, you're young, and later on in life, you have to somehow understand. But whatever it is, the reason I felt like eating that was because I was irritated. I was irritated with the organization. I was irritated with the arrangement of things. So frustration was making me choose that type of food. So the very strong link, Rajasic thoughts connected with Rajasic food. Again, Rajasic food leading to Rajasic thoughts. So we must recognize this link as well. Then next goes the Tamasic food. Tamas is always very difficult to understand. According to me, I don't understand it, but this is there in one of the gunas. What is it? Let us see. Yata yamam gatarasam bhuta paryushitam chayat uchishtam chamedyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. The men of tamas derive a pleasure perverted in consuming food that is cold, stale, and rotted. Foods that are foul, tasteless, and even decomposing sour. Like animals, even leftover, they choose to devour. This is a low nature, if you see. Leftovers, food which is getting stale to the point of rotting. In college, there was this person, he had a very bad habit of eating food. He would, especially non-vegetarian food, he'd keep it in the fridge and he would say, it tastes good after the second day. One more friend thought, let me go and try what he is doing. And he got food poisoning because his body was not accustomed to it. But this person was eating that. And everybody was disgusted. How can you eat something? Even those who eat the same food also, same diet, they said it is not right. But that person continued. Maybe he is now changed. I have lost touch with that person. But this is the nature. Some people have that tendency. Fresh food also, let it be. It tastes better after it's a little, let me keep it inside of the refrigerator. Actually, refrigerator is required for cold region places only. It is actually good there. In Bharat and Rashtra, it is something, what you are doing is you are actually destroying the potency of the food. Heating it, again cooling it, again heating it. It's not required. It is the temperature which is the surrounding which is required. And you cook food which is fresh, eat it, don't keep it in the refrigerator. Ayurveda talks about that only. Because slowly what we can say, Jantu and other organisms start growing inside of such a food. Its nature also changes sometimes. So that is what Krishna is talking about as tamasic. Food which is foul, sometimes tasteless, even decomposing sour, they still have that tendency. Has anybody seen anybody like that? You can think of any friends who like to eat, nahi, abhi nahi khayenge, raat ko khayenge. Fresh food is made. Achha lagega, jyada achha lagega. It will taste better in the night or it will taste better the next day. Yes, anybody has got that? Yes, Rekha
My
ji?
son itself.
Yes, so many friends.
My son. He likes to eat biryani the next day.
You better advise him to eat it fresh, but I think ultimately children will take their own decisions. So, but it's
And I also
always
have
good.
a doubt. Since
Yes.
you are talking about food so much, now he's in the hostel. And there
Yeah.
you cannot say you need to eat only sattvic food. What is given is what you get to eat. There is no choice there. Then how do
Yes.
children decide?
So this will come at the next, after the next shloka, after we just look at this, Rekha ji. Okay, ji, we will look at this, definitely. Yes, because it's a good question. So if you see, even Ayurveda says the natural source of steroids are lasun, or what we can say garlic. So if you see so many types of annas, chaturvidham, annas are there, 4 types of annas. But anyway, let's come back to this first. Tamasik is that food which is not good, which is fermented, which is most likely to cause food poisoning. It is something which is going to be not so good for the health of the individual. That is what we can say is tamas. So this tamas nature is something which governs that person's food choice also. So the person he prefers that, he even enjoys or she even enjoys that taste. Fermented food also come into this category. Eating fermented food causes drowsiness. Has anybody experienced that? Yes. Isn't it? That's natural. Like I said, if we were having sessions in the afternoon and all of us had Tair Sadham for lunch, maybe after 10 shlokas, I will also start yawning. Curd rice ka effect hone lag gaya hai. That's it. I would say, let us have a break now. Or I would have a nap, because that food has that experience. Damleji's one shishya who had gone to Orissa, there was one particular dish called pokhal. He described his routine. A very young person, I remember when he was in Pondicherry, he would get up early in the morning, do Surya Namaskar and everything. But after going there as a Karyakarta, he was stationed there. When Damleji asked him, what is your way of functioning? He said, we get up at 7:30, 7:45. Then I think of eating, we have this pokhal. What is pokhal? It is a fermented rice of the previous day. It is kept in water and then they treat it a bit. It's a delicacy. Just hold on, just 1 minute. So this delicacy, which is enjoyed by all, but that really is to induce sleep. So he and his Karyakarta, with other partner with whom he shared the room, both of them would eat that and again feel sleepy. And so why to go for working? It's already 9:30, 10, 10:30. What's the use of going and doing Jana Samparka now? Let us go in the afternoon, and they would again delay, and every day their day would start at noon. Look at the effect of diet also. How much it has, what we eat, how do we understand? If you look at a yogi, it is said a yogi is one who eats only once a day. Even once a day, the yogi is able to generate enough energy to do different activities. Yogis didn't always meditate. They did a lot of physical work also. If you see, the yogis had great strength, their mental prowess, physical strength, all of it. So they say 1 time is yogi, 2 times is bhogi, 3 times is rogi. But I think we've got conditioned to eating 3 meals a day. If you can slowly move out of 3 meals to 2 meals, giving 12-hour gap, it's always better. Certain doctors in India are actually advocating that. Go for a 2-meal diet. Eat nicely, eat what meals you want, but have that control. So this is what Krishna is saying. Tamasik is that nature which is making a person choose foods which are actually rotting also, which are fermented also, which are even decomposing. Sometimes even like animals, they are not conscious of what they are eating only. They just want to eat something. It maybe even somebody would have discarded it also. The person will say, no, it's not worth discarding. Let me eat it. As if their stomach is a dustbin. That is the nature of a tamasic person. So with this, I think there was a nice question raised by Rekhaji. Rekhaji, I think that's a difficult question for a mother also, because what do I tell my son to eat? And the thing is, when you tell somebody to eat something, there's no guarantee that person will eat it. Only you have to make him conscious of his food choices. Because if he prefers Rajasic food also, he cannot keep having that also, even in the hostel. If he has to understand, it's better to have, if he has a sports or some kind of discipline, no, it will automatically, make him body conscious, and his food diets will be chosen accordingly.
Consciousness of exercise is there, but food is more like what you get is what I can get to eat. So when I push it a bit, he kind of says, it's not like I'm the only one special here. What others get is what I also get to eat. There's nothing new about it. But then I say you have to be conscious of what you eat.
Yes, yes, and there are
Thoughts
little
can-
things he can actually, what is not available at the place. No, he could try to get some bananas or some kind of fruits, or have a little bit of curd during the lunchtime. What we can say, he can try to be a little, what we can say, understand the type of his body and its effect. Most of the time, we cannot predict or we cannot force onto someone their food choices. We can tell,
Definitely.
we can say the best thing also. But he or she feels like
I
that.
personally found the difference actually because when he's in the hostel, he's a different person altogether. When he comes home after like for a long weekend or something, first day he's really violent. Second and the third day is more subtle and okay, I know
Okay.
this guy. The first day he lands is like total different character. And by the time he
Okay.
goes back, it's like, okay, now I'm sending off somebody I know. When he comes back, I don't even know who he is.
How is okay? And one more thing, this is
That
actually
much
a
of change and
phase.
difference. Unfortunately, it's like in a big group because when you say in a college house, it's like 50,000 students eating the same food. So I think the management has to get a bit conscious about what they're feeding the children.
Yes, yes. And one more thing is, this is a learn. It's a phase, no? It's a growing phase. One of the reasons children is if they get angry at home or something is because this is the only place they can show it. And this is also a phase after which he will maybe not show that also. So
True, true.
you can try to find a little bit of rasa in that. But this is also a phase of learning because it is a growing phase. If the food is very bad, then because I remember in college we had a strike because the water was having algae in it. That's very bad. That was very horrible what they were being given, drinking water. The canteen also, the food was bad. Somebody found something. There you have to not tolerate it. But otherwise, you can just give him the good habits and you can give him certain dietary suggestions, which he can, if there is a too spicy food, he can neutralize it with a little bit of dahi if it is a summer season. But the same is not advised in winter. So that probably with a nutritionist or little knowledge of that, if he gets, he can balance his own food. Definitely.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yes. Hari Om. Hari Om. So let us continue. Krishna says, the 11th shloka, let us go to it. Afala, afala, falangshibhir yagnyo, vididrushto ya ijyate, yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sa satvika. When the sacrifice is performed to the deities and divine lords without seeking any personal gains or rewards, concentrating and being focused as per scripture, bereft of desire, it is said to be of sattva nature. So, what is the sattvic yajna? A yajna that is done without any desire for fruits. That person, Tvadiyam Vastu Govindam Tubhyameva Samarpayet. Your actually, whatever is yours, I am offering it back to you. Such a person does every yajna, every sacrifice without asking anything in return. How can we do this? Anybody? Without feeling that. Because everywhere we give something, what am I getting? Can someone give me one simple solution? Because mind always goes in that direction only. No, what do I get in return? In fact, a lot of people advise don't do anything if you're not getting in return. Even in society, you want to help somebody, say, why are you going after helping somebody else? You live in your house, you look at your own, why are you going elsewhere? So like that, how do we motivate ourselves? Anyone, if you can help me, how do I do a yajna without asking for something in return? How do I cultivate that state of mind? Yes. Simple. What can I do to enjoy that? Because losing something. Yes, Shivaji wants to add. Yes, sir.
Yeah, probably by just trying to make it as an offering to the divine, each of your actions.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And what is offering? An offering is something given with love, isn't it? It's not out
Yes.
of, oh my God, I'm giving this away. Oh no, now I'll cry for 10 days because I gave this as sacrifice. That's not an offering. That is like, yeah, it is something done out of compulsion or out of some kind of force. Offering is with love. With love you offer. And what is given with love is it cannot be returned because love is always too pure, isn't it? Can it be returned when something in the world? Mother's love. My mother has offered me so much love. So can I say, I've got so much in my bank account now, I'm earning. Here, ma, this is in return for all the love that you gave me. all the money in the world will also not be of use, or equal, even 1/10 of what you have received. Because that is a different aspect. That is really pure, and that has no value in the commercial side or in the material side. And that is exactly how our yajna should also be. Agneya swaha agneya idanna mama. Prajapate swaha prajapate idanna mama. All these Suryaya swaha. Everywhere it is done. This bhava is, we have to develop it. This, then when you do it, then you are going to be experiencing even your karmas, as Adi Shankaracharya has talked in his Shiva Manas Puja. Yad yad karma karumi tadakhilam shambhot pavaradhanam. Every karma is your aradhana. So that is what we can see as a sattvic type. But what about Rajas? Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambharthamapi chaivayat idyate bharata shrestha tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. What is that? Know this rajasic yajna. It is done with dambha, a lot of arrogance, a pride. Let us see. But those sacrifices that are performed with desires, O Arjuna, when for material benefits one aspires, accompanied by a flagrant exhibition and hype, no such sacrifices to be of Rajas type. So Krishna says Rajasic is that which is having a lot of show off going on. The person who is doing this yajna, Sattvic person is doing yajna, even the neighbor will not know what yajna is going in the house. But Rajasic person is doing yajna, not just neighbor, not society, 3 societies next and before and after will also know that this person is doing this yajna. Because there's a lot of showing off, a lot of exhibitionism of that, a lot of hype. I'm doing this yajna. May the God be feeling grateful that I'm doing this yajna. That kind of thought may also be there inside of that person, because the individual is much more important than the yajna for such a person. And it is done with, I am doing this, so I will get this in return. Is that a good way to work a yajna, which is done with aspiration? It sometimes gives headache for God, because 2 people working in the same organization do the same yajna. Don't give promotion to that person. That person is also saying, don't give promotion to this person. What's going to happen? Both will not get the promotion. So sometimes there will be this cross happening. Well, whatever, this is just on a lighter note. But
God will be happy.
God will be happy.
God,
Both of you
God will be happy.
God will be happy. Chalo, theek hai, dono ko promotion nahi dunga. Khush raho. So, all right. Yes, Kulkarni ji. Yes, this is the Rajasic nature. It does not. It goes slightly away from the truth. The person is having a lot of self-obsession. So, it doesn't understand the scheme of things. And he wants to show off, or she wants to show off to everybody. But then there is a third, which is a tamasic. Vidhina masrishtannam mantrahina madakshinam. Mantrahina madakshinam. Shraddha virahitam yajnam tamasam pari chakshate. The sacrifices performed against scripture without following any proper procedure, devoid of faith, mantras, offerings of food or charity. Such a sacrifice is said to be tamas in quality. So Krishna is saying, what is this tamasic yajna? Well, without mantra also. Basically, some mantras have to be chanted, isn't it? As if you're doing a yajna, you have to follow the system of a yajna. But no, this tamasic person says, I will not follow any system. The question is, why do anything? Then why even do the yajna in the first place? But no, if the Shastra says sit down, he'll say, I'll lie down. If he says put this way, you offer with love, he says, I'll not offer with love, I'll just throw it inside. I'll throw the ahuti inside. But this is the entire nature. There is no mantra, there is no shraddha, there is no offering also. No naivedyam is made or no other offering is done. There is no dana also, because it is said with your yajna, there should be an element of dana also. But all these are missing. Basically, it is not a yajna, it is just a joke. Such a person is doing it out of personal whim or fancy, without any shraddha. Well, understand that is tamasic, is what Krishna is saying. Let us go on further. Deva, somebody wants to add something?
Yeah. What about Putra Kameshti Yajna?
Yes, in the name only is saying,
Putra
isn't it?
Kameshti Yajna performed by Dashrath.
Yes, Dashratha. So,
So it is a with expectation.
with
Whether it is
expectation,
Sattvic, Rajas,
it is.
Tamas. Not at all
But
Tamas.
according to it is not tamas, isn't it? But
No.
expectation is what? What is
For
the
good.
karma here?
What for good?
But for good,
For
because
good.
he is doing it for his Rashtra, he has got a dharma. If you see, desire to uphold dharma is not wrong. So for him as a Rashtra Pita or who is looking after his job, it is for that he is doing. But even there, didn't he suffer because of his Rajas?
And he
With
did
Rashtra.
suffer. He did
Rama,
suffer.
Rama, Sri Rama. If
He
he
did
knew it was a
suffer.
little more sattvic, he might have spent
Yeah.
some more moments with Sri Rama. Maybe we don't know. It's very difficult to talk about there are so many, what we can say, karma is so deep. It's like a forest.
Yeah, really.
We can't predict. Absolutely.
Just
Yes.
Just I got that in my mind. Yes,
Yes. That way, there even Ashwamedha also, isn't it? That was done by even the great ones also. But these are all, but that is why we go back into the Gita only, because this is ultimately, sometimes if you see, hold up now as who's a protector, no? If I have a duty, should I not aspire for that? I have to do it best. So I should do it. But while doing that, where is my presence? Am I becoming more important? Am I the deliverer of justice, or am I the medium for something to happen? When I am doing the yajna, is it only me that my wish only should be fulfilled, or is it let the divine will be done? So that is where one must understand the sattvic angle can always change things. Yes, sir. Hari Om. Hari Om. So we'll look at the next shloka. Deva Dvija Guru Pragna Pujanam Shaucha Marjavam Brahmachayam Ahimsa Shariram Tapa Uchyate. We will look at 3 more shlokas and stop. So we saw Yajna. Yajna is of 3 types, just like Ahar, Rajasic, Sattvic and Tamasic. Yajna also has that stem. Now we are seeing about Tapascharya also. Tapascharya also has these 3, Rajasic, Sattvic and Tamasic. But Sattvic Tapa itself has 3 subtypes. That's what we want to be seeing 3 shlokas today, and we'll stop with what is a real Sattvic Tapa. Let us see part A of Sattvic Tapa. It is Deva Dvija Guru Pragna Pujanam. Worshipping the Godhead means having an Aradhya, having a Ishta Devat, offering to that Ishta and Aradhya. Or a Guru also. Guru Paramatma Paresh, Shishya say, I don't need Bhagwan, I don't need darshan of Bhagwan also. I've got my Guru over. My story is complete. But why? Why is it they are doing? Or the men of wisdom, or the immaculate, those perfect ones, those Brahma Sikal, Brahmacharyas, the liberated ones, the non-violent ones, the celibate, all these as a way of bodily penance, one can postulate. This is Sharira Tapa. What was Krishna doing in Sandipani Ashram? He was doing Sharira Tapa also, isn't it? While he was learning, he was doing cleaning also, he was going gathering flowers also, gathering twigs also, doing the other physical work also. Why? Because Sharira Tapa is important. Why do CEOs of big companies suddenly take a broomstick and start cleaning up the ashram? What is the reason? We must have seen videos, we've seen suddenly big people who are probably in charge of so many big, large-scale organizations. They suddenly go and start selling some vegetables, or they go sit and do some kind of work. Why is it? Anybody? Especially in the spiritual aspect, when they go to they all have a Guru Sthana, and there they go and offer. They say, I want to do what they say, Shramadana. Yes, Dheeraj.
That is called Nishkama Seva.
Nishkama Seva. That is a part of a Sharira Tapa. Means even Guru Seva, when people do, they press the feet of the Guru. Is that because Guru feels, chalo, I'm getting extra comfort? Guru does not take it only. Guru passes it on to the divine completely. But for that individual gets a chance to experience humility. That individual gets the experience of being down to earth. Because for a moment at least, if not for all times, at least come to understand you are something which is, you are more than your just job and other things. But what are you? That you have to understand with humility. Arjuna, when he said to Shishyasteham Shadivam Tvam Prapannam, then only Krishna could start the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Otherwise, Gita would not have started. So that humility, when people start taking the broomstick and cleaning, they are cleaning the dust on the floor, but also the dust on their inside of their head also. That also gets cleaned in the process. So that is why Sharira Tapa is important. Sharira Tapa is just one part of Sattvic Tapa. Along with Sharira Tapa, there is a second part. Anudvegakaram Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam Chayat Swadhyaya Bhyasanam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. The part B of Sattvic Tapa. Uttering words that cause no disturbance. Speaking the truth with kindness and tolerance. When you speak the truth to somebody who is ignorant, does it cause disturbance or it doesn't cause disturbance? It is going to cause a lot of disturbance. So why do you want to add harshness to your delivery and dialogue? You want to suddenly punch dialogue every time. Sometimes your punch might be too powerful, not required. Has anybody heard of this word truth bomb? Yes? In English, they use it. Truth bomb. Somebody from the younger generation, if you have heard of this person keeps dropping a lot of truth bombs. Yes? Have you heard it? Okay. So it's like the truth is when it is told, it is as if somebody is coming into the meeting and then speaking the truth very blatantly. It causes a disturbance for somebody who is on the other side, who is on against the truth. So truth itself is so powerful. Why do you have to add the harshness? It is said, Satyam bruyat na bruyat satyam apriyam. Priyam chananvritam bruyat esha dharma sanatanaha. Sanatan dharma tells us this only. Speak the truth with humility. Don't add arrogance. Don't add that harshness. Truth is itself harsh for somebody who cannot digest it. Why do you want to do it? And sometimes we go into wrong karma when we start doing that. One very famous doctor, he told my sister's friend who's also like my sister only, well, you have 4 months to live. Now, what is the need for him to tell that? Where is he God? Has he got that experience suddenly? Maybe according to his Shastra, he has understood something, but he cannot have that much ahankar to just break somebody's heart. This person was falling. She says, what is it? 26-year-old young girl looking so fresh for life, having a big perspective. And doctor tells her you have 4 months to live. What a big shock it was for her. Now it's been a year since he has told that dialogue. She's doing quite well. That statement turned out to be false, isn't it? Maybe certain grounds made him see this is a strange case or this is a case which looks like it's a risky case. All these factors are different. So speaking the truth, it is important, but speak words that do not cause disturbance. Already enough disturbances in the world. Why do you want to add more? Yogi doesn't cause disturbance, doesn't get disturbed. So that is one. Speak the truth with kindness and tolerance. Studying the principles that the ancient scriptures preach. All these, they are called the penance of speech. Many times they say, I want to be conscious of every word that I speak. A yogi says, because when you are conscious, then the words have an effect. Then the words have an effect of transformation. They say, Shabda tumhara ho sanjivana. Some elders, they just say one word and that word has a big effect on us, isn't it? Have we heard of that experience anytime? Where the same thing may be told by somebody else, but from the source which it is coming. It's so much different. It is like my teacher's words, don't rejoice. He just told that once. But every time, something nice happens and feel excited. No, don't rejoice. We don't know. It may turn system. It may change. I should not get overexcited in a state of rajas. I have to keep balance. So those are the words. And the Amleji says your mantra also can become, or your shabda, every shabda can become a mantra. How is it possible? When you do that tapasya, when you are conscious. Otherwise, you just speak without control. It's like squeezing toothpaste more than what is required. What's going to happen then? You squeeze out all the toothpaste. Can you put it inside again? It's not. It's something like that. All the, if you just, it's like, you've squeezed it out, there's nothing, nobody can put it back inside. It's like that. Your words escape from your tongue, then you cannot say, I didn't mean to say it, but you spoke it. It has its consequence. It has a karmic consequence. So the person is conscious. They do a Vag Tapa also. If you see, there is this beautiful Saraswati Stotra, where here the Upasana is done. I think it is Agastya Muni, it is attributed to him. He says, Saraswati Nritya tu vachi me sada. Goddess Saraswati dance at the tip of my tongue. What a beautiful mantra it is to get siddhi of. If this mantra gets siddhi, you will always speak what is right, isn't it? So that is why it is something like that. And we have to do that upasana of our speech. We can change, we can control. I remember my first Gita session, I was very afraid of this, our 15th Adhyay, because we have this tree, isn't it? The upside down tree. I was wondering, how do I explain this? And I went to my teacher and I said, how do I speak? He said, no, be quiet, be calm. And he said, do this mantra jap inside. Jivhe vara baisare Govinda. Sit on the tongue. Oh, Govinda, please, your job. And what beautiful session it was. Participants only gave me beautiful understanding. It was like Govinda came as participants only and taught me that Adhyay. It was so beautiful how different people shared their different perspectives. It became much more interesting. So this aspect of penance, so Sharira penance is there, Sharira tapa, there is also a Vangmaya tapa. So this tongue, sometimes that is why it is said Maunam Sarvartha Sadhanam. Sometimes follow Maun also. Keep quiet. Understand your thoughts so better. Give strength to your tongue also. Otherwise, words which are spoken without any knowing or any value, they undervalue us also. Our entire value and purpose, actions all go vain. So this is an important aspect. And the third one, we stop with this shloka. This is the penance of the mind also. So there is a speech. That is one. Sharira tapa is there. The Sharira tapa involves service. Shramadana, people go to ashrams, people go to satsangas, people go to bhajans, kirtans, people go touch the feet of some elders, people go touch the feet of the great yogis, gurus, all of this because they feel it's important for their sharirik tapa. Same way there is a vak tapa, control of speech. What do I speak? How do I speak? And this is not, sometimes people say, it is very difficult, life is going to get boring. No, life will become more interesting when you become conscious. Initially, if you have the habit of speaking unnecessarily, it will be like, what is this punishment I have got in life? Now I have to become conscious of my own words. Now, what more everywhere I have to control now, even my words. Just imagine when that changes. Many times people's lives are changed just by the way they communicate only. They change the way of communication, the experience is completely different. Because let the heart speak. No, you don't need words also. There are people, I've seen people who don't know, I don't know their tongue also, and I've had a communication with a person speaking in different language because that person was speaking from the heart and there was love. It was visible coming out of that person. Beautiful exchange took place and I was also laughing in the end. How did I understand? How did that person understand what was going on? Well, there is a language. There is a language beyond what they speech. Yes, sir. Yes, ji.
From this heart to that heart.
Yes. Absolutely. And the Vani also, there are levels. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, all of that. There are different experiences. People, Damleji's guru had, Nana Maharaj had, the Taranekar of Indore, had a direct samvad with, I think it was Janardhan Swami. And how was that? Both came, they saw each other. No dialogue, all Shishyas, including Damleji, was very young. His elder brother was very close to Nana Maharaj and he would have a direct dialogue with him. So he said, what is this? We were expecting you to have a dialogue. You both just stared at each other for 5-10 minutes. You did a dhyana and then you walked in separate ways. Then he just smiled and he said, you didn't understand what dialogue we had. We had a big conversation. You didn't understand it. It was a different conscious level of understanding. So that level, when will we reach? When words were also not required. Sometimes it is said, lovers beautifully understand each other. In my heart, one feeling is there, the other person is able to just experience it perfectly. Why? Because that conscious connection is there. To understand that, we have to raise our consciousness. Last part, mana prasada samyatvam, maunamatma vinigraha, bhava sanshuddhi tapo manasa muchyate. Third is the manas tapa. Of the tapa of the mind. With a blissful mind, maintaining a balance, controlling the mind with a resolute silence, thus engaging in the inner cleansing, when a being you find, he is said to be performing the penance of the mind. We'll stop with this. Such a person who is doing an inner cleansing, that person can be said to have doing a manastapa. Mind is calm, mind is peaceful. That person who is engaging in this purification, such a person is said to be engaging in manastapa. You must have heard of this vipassana, isn't it? Nothing, just become conscious of your thoughts. That is also one of the practices which has originated from the sadhana of Sanatana Dharma only. Even Mauna Vrata, anybody you know has taken in your family, do they take sometimes? Or do you, any of you, any participants, do you experience Mauna Vrata sometimes?
I actually practice it
Okay,
once in a month or twice in a month. And when you start it, you feel that it is very difficult. But when you practice it, coming out of it, when you come out of it, you will feel that मैं किधर आ गया.
So beautiful experience, isn't it, Dhirajji? And it's so simple. Tell your family, everybody, if you want also. Today, I'm not going to speak anything. Whatever you have to show your sign language or take a paper and write down. And yes.
No,
okay.
I generally go to vacation to my hometown. In that situation, then only I follow that Maunavrata.
Follow
because
that,
there is
yes.
nobody to talk with me.
Yes, yes. I was not very conducive for this. Then God only put mute button on my voice. I had some infection, and so suddenly for nearly 1 week, I had to go everywhere. Work was going on, but I had to not talk, and everybody thought I was mute because whenever I was meeting new people, it's like, what happened? That's all I had to do. But it was a beautiful experience where communication could happen, works would go on. So something like that, that silence is something which is worth experiencing. We get conscious of our mind, our own inner strength. So this is a third part. Part 3, when we do all 3 together only, it is called a Sattvic Tapa. That we'll see tomorrow. We will continue with this Shloka. So we saw Sharirik Tapa, Vak Tapa, and Manas Tapa. All 3 together constitute what is a Sattvic Tapa. Tomorrow we will just continue. I conclude with the Shanti Mantra, after which anybody has any, yes, energy also is saved. If anybody has any queries, you are most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om.
Any queries? Most welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om ji. Yes. Hari Om. Are there any queries? If not, I'll conclude the session. All right. Jai Shri Krishna. Hari Om. Hari Om.